Well, hello, friends. My name is Isaiah Terry, and I am the Wesley House Director. I minister to college students here on campus. And in fact, the wall behind you is the wall of my office in the Wesley House. So if you hear people clowning around or you hear a random piano, that's my college students. They're having fun in the Wesley House. So we are in the Bible reading plan, and I have the absolute honor and privilege to join you today to talk about Daniel chapter 10. Okay, so I specifically want to only talk about 5 verses. I can't count. 5 verses. But before we talk about those 5 verses, we unfortunately have to talk about all the verses leading up to them. Okay, I have to give you some context. You have to understand all of it, or it really can get confusing. So if you're reading chapter 10, you know that Daniel receives some form of a vision. Right? In the 3rd year of Cyrus the king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar, and the message was true and one of great conflict, but he understood the message and had an understanding of the vision. He received a vision. And the reality of the vision was that the exiles had returned from Babylon, had a huge rebuilding of the temple, Israel's captivity had ended, the nation appeared to be at peace. But the vision, however, shattered any hope that this peace would last for long. So God revealed the nation would be in many great conflicts, and Daniel understood the significance of this. And so what it says here is that he went on mourning for 3 entire weeks. It says, I did not eat any tasty food, nor did meat or wine enter my mouth, nor did I use any ointment at all until the entire 3 weeks were completed. He went and he fasted for 3 weeks because he understood the heaviness of the vision that he received. So in verses 4 through 11, you see a heavenly messenger appear. It talks about this heavenly figure. It says, that his appearance, he had the appearance of lightning, his eyes were like flaming torches, his arms and her feet were like gleam of polished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a tumult. So you have this heavenly messenger, and what it says in scripture is that all his friends, they fled, they ran away, but Daniel, because of his fast, was so tired, he fell on his face straight to the ground. Okay, he fell to his face straight to the ground, and prostrate on the ground, he's laying there and he falls asleep. Okay, so Daniel's asleep, and then enter Gabriel. Gabriel comes and explains the reason for the delay in God answering him. What I mean by this is that he was fasting and praying for 3 weeks looking for an answer from God. He's like, tell me what's going on. I understand the heaviness of this. Tell me what's going on. It's been 3 weeks, and Gabriel goes on to explain the reason for the delay in Daniel's prayer. Gabriel, an angel, who you might have heard before, he essentially says he was dispatched to go talk to Daniel when he first began fasting and mourning in response to the vision, but he was hindered by a character known as the Prince of the Persian Kingdom. So Scripture tells us that God arranges angels by certain ranks. That there's certain angels that are in charge of and command and have authority over angels, Gabriel and another angel known as Michael. Well, it also insinuates in Scripture, and it tells us that Satan imitates this. He apparently imitates this by assigning his own ranking demons to positions of authority, and it is essentially telling us in Scripture that it's this imitation demon that is fighting Gabriel to not allow Gabriel to give this message to Daniel. So laying face down, he becomes, in 15 it says he becomes speechless. And when he had spoken to me according to these words, I turned my face towards the ground and became speechless. Daniel hears Gabriel say, wait, there's demons fighting you, and you wanted to come to me all along, but you couldn't. He literally could only respond. He literally couldn't respond. He was speechless. And this is where I want to actually begin to dive into some of the scripture, because there's some really exciting stuff about to happen here. Laying on the ground, he became speechless. And it says in verses 16 and 17, and behold, one who resembled a human being was touching my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke. And he said to him who was standing before me, O my Lord, as a result of the vision Anguish has come upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can such a servant of my Lord talk with such as my Lord? As for me, there remains just now no strength in me, nor has any breath been left in me. He's saying, Lord, I saw this vision. I fasted for 3 weeks, and while you did touch my lips, it only gives me enough strength to tell you that I have no strength. I'm weak. I have nothing left in me. And so it goes on in verses 18 to say, Then this one with human appearance touched me again and strengthened me. And he said, O man of high esteem, do not be afraid. Peace be with you. Take courage and be courageous. Now, as soon as he spoke to me, I received strength and said, May my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. See, the one resembling human touched me, and in an instant, boom, Daniel's restored. And he receives all his strength back. And it says in verses 20, the why behind it all. Why is this one that appears to be human here in the first place? Well, it goes on to tell us that in verses 20 and 21. It says, Then he said, Do you not understand why I came to you? Right? Like, do you not get why I'm here? But I should now return to fight against the prince of Persia. So I'm going forth, and behold, the prince of Greece is about to come. However, I tell you, what is inscribed in the writing of truth? Yet there is no one who stands firmly with me against these forces except Michael, your prince. He has come to fight the prince of Persia and the soon coming prince of Greece. You see, these have mentioned before, mentioned earlier, and the prince of Greece has been mentioned earlier, and again is a representation of satanic figures. And you see, the reason that this is so powerful, the reason that this means so much, is that when you hear the one that appears to be human, a one that looks like human, it can also be translated to as the Son of Man. Does it sound familiar? The Son of Man? Well, yes, of course it does, right? The Son of Man? Jesus, here mentioned in Daniel, the Son of Man, the one who appears to be a human being, the one who resembles a human being. So why Jesus and why here? Well, it says in response to the demonic figures, I need to go and fight the prince of Persia. I need to go fight the prince of Greece that's about to come. I need to go fight Satan and naturally go on to defeat them. You see, a major theme in Daniel is pointing to hope in the midst of crisis, right? There's a promise here in this chapter of a short-lived peace. It then goes on to say there's going to be total destruction, but ultimately, despite the dissension, there's going to be an ultimate victory over the princes of Persia, the prince of Greece, or in other words, a total victory, a total destruction of Satan. You see, the story of Daniel comes full circle and illustrates to us and points us right to the gospel, right? And it gives us such a beautiful and powerful reminder that while these things seem dark now, while there may be peace and sometimes there won't be, while there's short-lived peace and there's chaos, we know that Jesus is coming back to win. The ultimate victor goes to Jesus. But even more encouraging, Jesus says, while yes, you know there's peace, yes, you know it's going to be destroyed, yes, you know eventually I will come back, I've got something very, very special for you. It says right there at the end, it says, yet there's one who stands firmly with me against these forces except Michael, your prince. It says, while you know that things are going to be dark and you can have hope because at one day I want to come, in the meantime, I've given you one who can fight with you now. Michael, I've given you someone now. The gospel here in Daniel, the Old Testament, it's been here all along. It's right in front of our face. The Son of Man here in the scripture. It's so beautiful. Friends, I wish I could go on and on and on and tell you more and more and more about Daniel, just chapter 10 alone. But I'm afraid this is where I must end with you now. So, in the meantime, I hope you have an absolute blessed day, and thank you so much for joining us on this journey of our Bible reading plan. I hope I see you next time. See you later. Blessings.